Hi, I'm Samantha Reed. I'm 31 years old and I work as a marketing consultant for wellness brands. 6 months ago, I was married to Marcus Webb, a real estate developer who I thought was my soulmate. We had been together for 7 years, married for 3, and I believed we had built something beautiful together. I come from a family that believes in working through problems, in fighting for your marriage, in never giving up on love. My parents have been married for 35 years and have weathered every storm together. I was raised to believe that couples who truly love each other can overcome anything with commitment and communication. That's why, when Marcus and I started having serious problems last year, I suggested we attend a couples retreat. I had read about this exclusive wellness resort in Sedona that specialized in relationship counseling and healing. It was expensive, $5,000 for a week, but I thought it would be worth it to save our marriage. What I didn't expect was that Marcus would use our couples retreat as an opportunity to compare me to his mistress. What I definitely didn't expect was that his cruel comparison would become the catalyst for the most empowering week of my life. This is the story of how a couples retreat designed to save my marriage became the perfect setting for me to discover my own strength, and how one devastating comment from my husband turned what was supposed to be our healing journey into the beginning of my solo adventure. Marcus and I met at a networking event for young professionals in Denver. I was 24, just starting my marketing consultancy, and he was 26, already successful in real estate development. He was confident, charismatic, and seemed to have his life perfectly planned out. Our early years together were genuinely wonderful. Marcus was romantic, attentive, and supportive of my career. He would surprise me with weekend getaways, thoughtful gifts, and seemed genuinely interested in my dreams and goals. When I mentioned wanting to start my own consultancy, he encouraged me and even helped me create my business plan. When he proposed after 3 years, it felt like the natural progression of a love story. The proposal itself was perfect, during a sunrise hike at Garden of the Gods, with a ring he had designed himself. I cried happy tears and couldn't wait to build a life with this man who seemed to understand me so completely. We had a beautiful wedding in the mountains outside Denver, surrounded by family and friends who kept telling us how perfect we were together. "You two are relationship goals," people would say. And for a while, it felt true. The first few years of marriage were good, but I started noticing small changes in Marcus. He became more critical, more distant, more focused on work. He would make subtle comments about my appearance. "Are you sure you want dessert?" Or, "That dress is a little tight, don't you think?" He started dismissing my opinions in social settings, interrupting me during conversations, making me feel small and insignificant. Marcus also became obsessed with status and image. He constantly compared our life to other couples, their houses, their cars, their vacations. "The Joneses just bought a place in Aspen. We should be doing better than this." Nothing I achieved professionally seemed to impress him anymore. Our intimate life began to suffer too. Marcus became increasingly critical and demanding, making me feel like I could never please him. What had once been loving and connected became mechanical and cold. I started to dread physical intimacy because it always seemed to end with him expressing disappointment or frustration. Last year, things reached a breaking point. Marcus was working longer hours, traveling more frequently, and when he was home, he was distant and irritable. We barely talked anymore except to discuss logistics, bills, schedules, household responsibilities. That's when I suggested the couples retreat. "We need professional help," I told Marcus. "We're losing each other, and I don't want to give up without fighting for us."
Marcus initially resisted the idea, calling it a touchy-feeling nonsense, but eventually agreed when I pointed out that the retreat center was frequented by wealthy, successful couples. The status appeal convinced him.
Red Mountain Wellness Retreat was even more beautiful than the photos on their website. Nestled among Sedona's famous red rocks, the resort featured luxurious accommodations, world-class spa services, and breathtaking views in every direction. We arrived on a Sunday afternoon, and I felt hopeful for the first time in months. The setting was so peaceful, so removed from our daily stresses, that I believed it would help us reconnect and remember why we had fallen in love. Our suite was gorgeous, a spacious room with a private balcony overlooking the desert landscape. There was a sitting area with comfortable chairs positioned to encourage conversation, and the bathroom featured a large soaking tub designed for relaxation and reflection. "This is really nice," Marcus admitted as we unpacked. "Maybe this wasn't such a bad idea after all." That evening, we attended an orientation session with other couples and met our facilitators. Dr. Sarah Chen was a marriage and family therapist with over 20 years of experience, and Dr. James Rodriguez specialized in intimacy and communication coaching. "This week is about radical honesty," Dr. Chen explained to our group of 8 couples. "We're going to create a safe space where you can express your deepest truths to each other, work through your challenges, and rediscover the connection that brought you together." I looked around at the other couples, all successful, attractive people who, like us, seemed to have perfect lives from the outside but were struggling privately. It was comforting to know we weren't alone in our problems. "The key to healing your relationship," Dr. Rodriguez added, "is vulnerability. You have to be willing to be completely honest about your needs, your fears, and your desires. Only then can you build authentic intimacy." As we walked back to our room that first night, Marcus seemed more relaxed than he had been in months. "Maybe this will actually help," he said, taking my hand for the first time in weeks. I felt a surge of hope. Maybe we really could save our marriage. The first 3 days of the retreat were intensive but encouraging. We participated in guided conversations, trust-building exercises, and communication workshops. For the first time in over a year, Marcus and I were really talking about our childhoods, our fears, our dreams for the future. During one particularly powerful session on Tuesday, we did an exercise where we had to share our biggest insecurities with each other. I told Marcus how his criticism had been affecting my self-esteem, how I felt like I was constantly failing to meet his expectations. "I had no idea I was making you feel that way," Marcus said, and he seemed genuinely remorseful. "I guess I've been taking my work stress out on you. That's not fair." Marcus shared that he felt pressured to provide a certain lifestyle, that he worried he wasn't successful enough compared to other men our age. For the first time in months, I felt like I was seeing the real Marcus again, vulnerable, human, relatable. We made love that night for the first time in over 2 months, and it felt connected and meaningful in a way it hadn't for a long time. I fell asleep feeling hopeful that we were really turning a corner. Wednesday's session focused on intimacy and physical connection. Dr. Rodriguez led us through exercises designed to rebuild physical and emotional intimacy. Some of the exercises were uncomfortable. We had to maintain eye contact while sharing our desires and fantasies, but I felt like Marcus and I were finally breaking through the walls we had built between us. That evening, we had dinner on our balcony and watched the sunset paint the red rocks in brilliant colors. "I love you, Sam. I know I haven't been showing it lately, but I really do love you." I believed him. I thought we were healing. Thursday morning session was about radical honesty in intimacy, Dr. Rodriguez's specialty. The exercise was designed to help couples express their deepest sexual and emotional needs without judgment. That's when everything fell apart. The exercise seemed innocent enough at first, Dr. Rodriguez had us sit facing each other, maintaining eye contact, while we shared what we found most attractive about our partner and what we desired more of in our intimate relationship. I could see the other couples around us engaging earnestly in the exercise. Some were crying, others were laughing, and everyone seemed to be having breakthrough moments. The energy in the room felt safe and supportive, exactly what we had paid for. I went first, telling Marcus how much I loved his laugh, how safe I felt in his arms, how I missed the playful intimacy we used to share. I talked about wanting to feel desired again, about missing the emotional connection we once had during physical intimacy. I was vulnerable and honest, sharing things I had never said out loud before, feeling hopeful that this level of openness would help us reconnect. Marcus listened intently, nodding, holding my hands. I felt like we were finally getting somewhere, like this exercise might be the breakthrough we needed. Then it was Marcus's turn. He started well enough, talking about my intelligence and my dedication to our relationship. But then Dr. Rodriguez asked him to be more specific about physical intimacy. What do you find most satisfying about your intimate connection with Samantha? Dr. Rodriguez asked. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, and I could see him struggling with something. Finally, he took a deep breath and said, "I'm trying to be honest here, like you said. The truth is, I haven't been satisfied with our physical relationship for a while." I felt my stomach drop, but I tried to stay open. This was supposed to be a safe space for honesty. "Can you be more specific about what you need?" Dr. Rodriguez encouraged. That's when Marcus said the words that would end our marriage. "The truth is, Jessica is better in bed than Sam. She's more adventurous, more responsive, more everything. I know I shouldn't compare, but you said to be radically honest." The room went completely silent. Dr. Rodriguez looked like he didn't know how to handle the situation. Clearly, this wasn't the kind of radical honesty he had been expecting. "Jessica?" I whispered. Marcus's face went white as he realized what he had just confessed. "Sam, Who is Jessica?" I asked, my voice stronger now. We can talk about this privately," Marcus stammered. "No," I said, standing up. "You just told a room full of strangers that some woman named Jessica is better in bed than your wife. I think we're past privacy." The room was dead silent. Dr. Rodriguez looked like he didn't know how to handle this situation. Clearly, this wasn't the kind of radical honesty he had been expecting. "Sam, please sit down," Marcus pleaded. "Let me explain." Instead, I walked toward the door, but before leaving, I turned back to face him and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Well, Marcus, I guess Jessica can enjoy having you all to herself, because this couples retreat just became a solo trip for me." I walked straight back to our room, my mind surprisingly clear despite the emotional devastation. Marcus had been having an affair, and he had just humiliated me in front of a room full of strangers by comparing me to his mistress. The old Samantha might have collapsed, might have begged for another chance, might have tried to work things out. But something about the setting, this beautiful, peaceful place dedicated to healing, made me see the situation with perfect clarity. I deserved better than this. I deserved better than a husband who would cheat on me and then humiliate me during what was supposed to be our healing process. I started packing immediately. Marcus came rushing in about 10 minutes later, panicked and apologetic. "Sam, please don't leave. I made a terrible mistake. I was trying to be honest like they said, but I said it all wrong." "You said it exactly right," I replied calmly, continuing to pack. "You told the truth. Jessica is better in bed than me, and you'd rather be with her. So go be with her." "It's not like that," Marcus insisted. "Jessica is it's complicated. I love you. I want to work on our marriage." I stopped packing and looked at him directly. "Marcus, you just told a marriage counselor and 7 other couples that your mistress is better in bed than your wife. There's nothing complicated about that. You've made your choice." Marcus tried every approach he could think of,
Begging, bargaining, minimizing. It was just physical. And finally, anger. You're being dramatic and overreacting. But I was done. I'm going to finish this retreat, I told him. Alone. You can go home to Jessica. Sam, you can't just stay here without me. We booked this together. Actually, I can. I paid for half of this retreat, and I'm going to get my money's worth. But I'm going to use it to figure out my next steps, not to save a marriage with someone who publicly humiliated me. Marcus left that afternoon, and I stayed.
The retreat staff was incredibly supportive once they understood the situation. Dr. Chen offered to work with me individually for the remaining 3 days, helping me process what had happened and plan my path forward. What Marcus did was not only cruel, but also completely inappropriate for a therapeutic setting, Dr. Chen told me during our first solo session. His behavior reflects his issues, not your worth as a person or a partner. For the first time in years, I felt truly heard and validated. Dr. Chen helped me understand that Marcus's affair and his cruel comparison weren't really about me. They were about his own insecurities, his need for validation, his inability to take responsibility for his actions. You showed incredible strength in that room, Dr. Chen said. Instead of collapsing or begging, you recognized that you deserved better and acted on that knowledge immediately. The other couples in our group were also incredibly supportive. During group sessions, they rallied around me, sharing their own experiences with infidelity and betrayal. One woman, Patricia, told me that she wished she had had my courage when she discovered her husband's affair years earlier. I stayed and tried to work it out, Patricia said. We went to counseling for 2 years, but he never really changed. I wasted 2 more years of my life trying to fix something that was already broken. You're saving yourself years of pain. Without Marcus there, I was able to focus entirely on myself for the first time in years. I participated in yoga classes, meditation sessions, and solo hiking excursions in the beautiful Red Rock country. I journaled extensively, wrote letters to myself, and began to rediscover who I was outside of my marriage. I realized that I had been shrinking myself for years, trying to fit into Marcus's vision of who I should be. I had been accepting criticism, tolerating disrespect, and compromising my own needs to try to please someone who was never going to be satisfied. On my last night at the retreat, I sat on my balcony watching the sunset and felt something I hadn't experienced in years: peace. I wasn't angry anymore. I was grateful. Marcus had inadvertently given me the greatest gift possible: clarity about what I would and wouldn't accept in my life. 6 months later, my divorce from Marcus is finalized, and my life has been completely transformed. The couples retreat that was supposed to save my marriage became the catalyst for the best decision I ever made. Marcus fought the divorce initially, claiming that he had made a mistake, that Jessica meant nothing to him, that he wanted to rebuild our marriage. But I had heard enough. His confession in that therapy room had revealed not just an affair, but a fundamental lack of respect for me as a person. The divorce settlement was favorable to me. Colorado's laws regarding marital misconduct worked in my favor, and Marcus's affair was well documented thanks to his own confession in front of witnesses at the retreat. I received half of our assets, plus a significant portion of his real estate holdings. But the financial settlement wasn't the real victory. The real victory was reclaiming my life. My marketing consultancy has flourished since the divorce. Without the constant stress and criticism at home, I've been able to focus entirely on my work. I've landed 3 major new clients, expanded my team, and increased my revenue by 40%. It turns out I'm much more successful when I'm not constantly being told I'm not good enough. I've also rediscovered my love for travel and adventure. I've taken solo trips to Italy, Costa Rica, and New Zealand, all places Marcus had refused to visit because they weren't prestigious enough for his taste.
I've learned to rock climb, taken photography classes, and joined a hiking group where I've made incredible new friends. Most importantly, I've learned to value myself. I no longer accept criticism disguised as helpful feedback. I don't tolerate disrespect in any form. I've raised my standards for how I expect to be treated, and my life has improved dramatically as a result. I've also become an advocate for other women going through similar experiences. I started a blog called Solo Journey, where I write about divorce, self-discovery, and rebuilding your life after betrayal. The response has been overwhelming. Hundreds of women have reached out to share their stories and thank me for giving them courage. Last month, I spoke at a women's empowerment conference about turning crisis into opportunity. Standing on that stage, sharing my story with 500 women, I felt a sense of purpose I had never experienced. Your worth is not determined by someone else's ability to see it, I told the audience. The standing ovation wasn't just for my speech. It was validation that my painful experience had become something that could help others find their strength. Marcus and Jessica's relationship didn't last, according to mutual friends. Apparently, when the excitement of secrecy wore off and Jessica realized she was dating a man who had publicly humiliated his wife, the appeal faded quickly. Marcus is now single, struggling professionally after our very public divorce, and has tried to contact me several times asking for another chance. I've blocked his number. As for me, I'm not actively dating yet, but I'm open to it. I know what I will and won't accept in a relationship. I know that I deserve someone who celebrates me, not someone who compares me to other women. I know that I'm complete on my own, which means any future partner will be an addition to my happiness, not a requirement for it. That moment at the couples retreat when Marcus said, "She's better in bed," was supposed to be my rock bottom. Instead, it became my launching pad. His cruelty became my clarity. His betrayal became my freedom. And his confession was the beginning of my new life. Sometimes the most devastating moments are actually the most liberating. Marcus thought he was being radically honest about his dissatisfaction with our marriage. What he actually did was set me free to find the happiness I deserved. And for that, I'll always be grateful that he told the truth, even if he told it in the cruelest way possible. Because that truth led me to the best decision I ever made. Choosing myself. If this story shocked you, just wait for what's next. Leave a comment, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and of course, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a single notification.